Listen, we all know that we should be creating content. We need to get out there. We need to share more. We need to be more ourselves online. We've heard it all. But when it comes down to actually creating that content, how frustrating is it when you're trying to find a system that will actually work for you and it never does? Even ChatGPT prompts and hacks never seem to work because they never sound like you. If this is you, if you've used ChatGPT before and you feel like, I've used it, I've tried it, Melanie, I don't know why it's not working, then this video is for you because I'm going to break down why it's probably not working for you and how to get it to work for you. Because now it takes me less than an hour to plan out all of my monthly content using ChatGPT. Ready to learn how? Let's go. Step number 1 is to prime the pump. If you have never done this, if you've never taken the time to actually tell ChatGPT who you are in a very intentional way, then you're probably getting responses and output that doesn't sound like you, and it's driving you crazy. Hi, my name is Melanie Gray, and I have been there, my friend. It wasn't until I primed the pump, I actually spent time teaching ChatGPT who I was and what I was all about, that it started actually giving me the results that I needed and wanted in my business for my content. So what the heck does that mean? What do you even tell ChatGPT so that you can get really great results? Well, I suggest that you start with 4 key documents. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just broken down examples of the type of documents that you might want to create to help you prime the pump with ChatGPT. So there are 4 documents that I recommend you have: who you are and what you do, brand pillars and content pillars, your brand voice doc, and your ideal client avatar document. These are all very important in order for you to get really good content suggestions from ChatGPT. It can't give you what you don't know, right? So you have to know a little bit before you go in there. And you can absolutely have it help you create these documents, but remember that the closer you are to the truth, the closer you are to your actual, what you believe to be true, the better the results will be. So sometimes when I get Chat to help me with documents like this, it'll kind of take the reins and it will create something that doesn't really reflect who I am and what I'm about. So I suggest you do these yourself first, and then you can get help later, or don't get help, just upload them as is. So document number 1 is who you are and what you do. And the example I have here is, hi, I'm Rachel Thompson, a Toronto-based real estate agent with a background in interior design and marketing degree. I specialize in helping creative professionals and young families find homes that reflect who they are, blah, 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 blah. Basically, what you're doing here is you're just telling Chat who you are and what you do. You're a real estate agent, but you want to go as in-depth as you possibly can. My document is 2 pages long, and it just outlines everything that I could possibly think of about myself, my business, what I focus on, what products I sell, all of those things. Get as specific as possible. You cannot be too specific here. Number 2, brand pillars and content pillars. They are 2 different things. If you want me to create a video about them to go into much more detail, I can just drop a comment below and I'd be happy to create a video about that. In short, brand pillars are essentially your brand values. It's what you live and die by in your business, like the tenets of your business. Like, I will not ever give somebody this kind of advice, or I will never make somebody get a stager if they don't need it, or I will never, you know what I mean? Like, and examples are ease, trust, expertise, style. A lot of agents say integrity and knowledge. And, my suggestion to you is just go as deep as possible and try to be as specific as possible about what makes you different than everybody else in your industry. What do you stand for or stand against that differentiates you from other realtors in your neighborhood or industry? And then your content pillars are the actual categories that you post about. So what are those categories? Are they listing marketing, behind the scenes, local expertise, buyer and seller education, personal stories? These are all examples. You want to get really clear on the type of content that you want to share. And again, if you want a more detailed video, just drop that comment below. I will make one for you. The next document is the brand voice doc. And this one is super important if you are so tired of having captions that don't sound like you. If you're tired of saying, this is what I want you to sound like, and it never does, this document is going to be key. So what you want to do is you want to go back through your old files and find emails that you've written, newsletters that you've written, captions that you've written, like old posts, anything that you loved that you created or performed well, drop it into this voice doc, because the more stuff you give to Chat about how you actually sound, the better. If you don't have any of this content yet, then what I suggest is to record yourself speaking for about 5 to 10 minutes and send that to Chat so it knows how you sound, or find writing examples from people who you love reading. When you love to read something, what's engaging to you? What do you want to sound like? When you read something and you're like, man, I wish I could write like that. Man, I wish I could sound like that. Find those examples, put it into this doc and say, this is how I want to sound. but make sure there's not a big mismatch between how you actually sound when you're doing a video like this and what that document sounds like, because it's just not going to sound like you and there's going to be a disconnect. All right. And number 4, you want your ideal client avatar. This is such a hard sell for a lot of agents, because I know you like to cast a wide net. So what we're going to do here is forget about the niche and just focus on one person that you've worked with in the past 5 years who you absolutely adored, who you would want to work with again and again. Can you create a document that outlines who that person is? Who is that one person? So for example, Sarah. Sarah's 37. She's a creative professional, maybe a photographer, interior designer who's ready to buy her first home solo. She makes $150K plus. She knows how to hustle, but has zero interest in working with a cheesy, pushy agent. She wants somebody who respects her independence and guides her through the process like a partner, not a guru. When you can get super specific like this, the more specific you get with your ICA, the better Chat will create content for that ICA. This is the most important doc that you could give Chat, because this is what's going to tell Chat what kind of content to create and who to create it for and how it lands. So make sure to include what she wants, biggest fears, how you help her, what makes your relationship with her different than what other agents would have. And then you're going to have enough to give Chat. So step number 1, prime the pump with 4 core documents. You will be shocked at how effective this is alone. Step number 2, give your Chat a role. Once you're done priming the pump, I suggest in the very same chat box, you're going to tell it what it is. And my favorite thing to do is to be super specific with this part and say something like, you're my content strategist. Using the word strategist with Chat allows it to less of a yes man and more of a, okay, well, that's a good idea, but we can make it better by doing this. So if you've ever used ChatGPT and you found that it wasn't thinking independently enough, like able to help you in that way where it's calling you out if you're not on the right track, then use the word strategist. Whenever I tend to use that word, I get far better results. So say something like, you're my content strategist. Your job is to help me create high converting, trust building content for real estate. Challenge my assumptions. Don't just agree with me. Help me make this better. So what I'm going to do is inside of Chat, I'm just going to paste that prompt, and then underneath it, just say yes if you understand. Yes. Perfect. So now we're good to continue. Okay, great. Now the next thing I'm going to do is insert this prompt based on everything you know about me, my ICA, my brand pillars, my content pillars, and my voice. So those 4 documents. Generate a table with 20 real estate content ideas. Include the following columns: post idea, brand pillar, content pillar, why my ICA cares, how this builds my brand credibility, and number them 1 to 20. All right, so let's go through each column before I hit send. We want the post idea. So we want whatever that content idea is. We want to know what brand pillar this is affiliated with, because we want to make sure that we're sharing a well-rounded view of who we are and that we're touching more than just one pillar. Oftentimes we can get stuck in, sharing tips and tricks all the time, or sharing too much personal stuff, or we're sharing like too much of the same content. So what this allows us to do is in table form, we'll be able to see, is this a well-rounded content system or is it too focused on one thing? That's what I love about this approach. So it's going to tell you the post idea, the brand pillar, what this supports in my business, the content pillar, the category of the content. So behind the scenes, tips, personal, whatever, why my ICA cares. This is really important to know. I don't just want a post idea from Chat. I want to know why it's relevant for my specific ideal client avatar. If it tells me something that I think is just off, like, nah, she doesn't care about that, then I will know not to share that post, even if it feels exciting to me. If it doesn't resonate with my ICA, why am I sharing it? And then the last one, how this builds brand credibility, or how this builds your brand. How is this going to paint you as the solution, as the only option? And then I say number them 1 to 20 because I'll show you in a second. But if we have the numbers, it's easier to refer to it. So for example, I can say I love 157, so it can give you really great content when you're refining. So what I did was I downloaded those example docs because ChatGPT knows me so well. I use it all the time. I'm worried that once I hit send on this, it's going to give me real estate marketer stuff, not real estate agent stuff. So I'm going to upload that document, the example that I just gave you. And I'm just going to write attached, and here we go. Okay, we have our 20 ideas, and now what I'm going to do is read through them, and I'm going to choose which ones I want to move forward with. Some of them are going to miss the mark for me. Some of them are going to be great. That's why I like to have a large amount to begin with, and then we can refine from there. So for example, number one is what I'd never do as a first-time buyer. Okay, I love this because it adds your personality. You get to share your own personal expertise, your own personal story, and then in parentheses, and what I would. I'm not sure if I would include that. I like bold statements, like what I'd never do as a first-time buyer. Brand pillar, expertise. Content pillar, education. And my ICA cares. She wants to feel smart, not stupid. Perfect. And how this builds brand credibility positions you as the guide who tells the truth, not the textbook answer. That's so important because most people are sharing content that you can find on Google. They are the Wikipedia of real estate, and we don't want to be that. We want to show up with our own insights, our own stories, our own point of view, and this is how we're going to do it. So that makes me excited. So definitely, yay, number one. Number two, my real process from listing to offer night, the actual steps. Maybe if your steps are unique, if you have a different strategy than every other agent. If it's the same, then it's just going to read as same old, same old. So if you don't have a very unique process that is killer and off the charts different, I would leave this. I'm not too keen on this. Number three, why staging isn't extra, it's strategy. Maybe. Number four, red flag phrases I watch for in listing descriptions. This is great. This is such good content. I love it. This is exciting. It tells your ICA what to look for. You're teaching her how to read through the BS that you would find in listing, which she needs, she wants. This is really good information. I love this. So right away, I'd say 1 and 4. I would keep telling it the ones that I like. And then I would say something like this. I love 1, 4, 7, 8. Can you give me 10 more like that? And then you're going to have a lot of content to choose from. And then chat's just going to repopulate with more similar ones as to which you liked. If it's not doing that, then just tell it. Listen, I liked it because this is why I liked 147, because it painted me showing up with a personal story. It was me doing XYZ. I love that. I want more content like that. So one more thing before we move on. I never choose ideas from these tables based on what I think I should be posting. I always focus on the energy. So if you noticed when I read number 4, red flag phrases I watch for in a listing description, I got all excited. And if it's exciting for you to create, it will be exciting for your audience to read. If you are not excited by the content, it will come through. You're bored out of your mind, but you're like, well, this is what good agents share. It's not going to work. It's not going to land. Always approach it from a place where you feel excited to share this information with your ideal client avatar. When you do that, you're going to attract more and more of those people because you can feel it in the writing, in the presentation, in the way that you've put your post together. All of those things matter. Once we have our content that we're really excited about, let's say that you want to post 2 times a week, so you have 8 pieces of content, what we're going to do is move on to step number 5, which is to write our captions for those pieces. And the way that I love to do this is, let's take the red flag phrases I watch for in listing descriptions. I will take that content idea and I will pop it into chat and I will say something like, I love this one. Can you ask me some guiding questions so that I can share my unique perspective on this? All right. And then it's going to ask you all of these questions. You can ask it to ask you less. If this is too much for you and too daunting, fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to hit this little dictate button down at the bottom of our chat and we're just going to talk it out. We're going to sit here and we are going to talk and tell it the true answers to all of these questions like we were telling our best friend sitting across from us on the couch. Why are we doing this? Because when chat has our unique perspective, it's going to create a caption or carousel post points or a headline for a reel that embodies exactly who we are and how we want to show up. And so when you can do this for every single piece of content, you know, it might take you a little bit at first to get into the rhythm, but now it genuinely takes me anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes to get 20 pieces of content done and mapped, and you can do the exact same. And that is it, my friends. I am so excited to see what you come up with. Make sure you drop any questions or comments you have in the comment section below. And if you loved this video, hit like, hit subscribe so I know to keep making more content just like this for you. And that's it. Happy ChatGPTing, happy contenting, happy making content creation easier. I'll speak to you next time. Bye.